Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains. There's only one requirement to hang out on the edge, is that you open your big brain and close your small mind. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now. Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. How you doing? You having a good day? I'm hoping so. If not, it's going to be better. You're at the place where the conversation is pointed and the guests are sharp. The responses are never dull. We have executive pastor Ethel Rucker with us today. Now, Brains, are you in a relationship? Let's talk real talk, okay? Are you in the thralls of a relationship? Are you just beginning? Are you in the middle? Are you thinking about ending it? But what is your epigenetics? What is your generational trauma? What is the baggage that you have brought with you in your suitcase, in your purse, in your container that you were spilling over into this other relationship? And let's not discount the trauma that your other partner has experienced. How do the rubber meet the road? How do we come together and work through it? So many people want to throw in the towel. You know, it's easy to get a divorce, you think, okay? It's harder to get rid of them than it was to get them, trust me. But is that what you want to do? Do you really want to work through it? Well, we're going to talk to Pastor Ethel about this because I read her book over a bowl of Rice Krispies and a cup of tea. 29 pages of power, punch, and passion. And I'm just really excited about that. This is a book that you would want to give anybody in a relationship. If they're just starting out, this would be a great gift for an engagement gift for someone or someone that's newly divorced. But I'm so excited about it. I'm not going to talk all about it, but I'm going to share it with you, and I'm going to share her with you. Let's welcome her to the show. How you doing, Pastor?
Hi. I'm sorry. I'm doing fine. You see, I'm excited. I cut you off before you even finished.
That's okay. That's all right. Because I had a lot to say, but I'm telling you, I'm excited because I read again. Like I said, I read this. I was sitting there. I said, "Well, you know what? She sent it to me. I'm gonna do my due diligence and do right by it." And I couldn't put it down.
Oh, thank you. I've heard
Now I've
that.
been married to Mr. Magnificent for 41 years.
Wow.
Yes, and I adore my dude, so I understand it. And everything that you said in there was just so impactful. Tell my brains a little bit about you.
Hi, Brains. Executive Pastor Ethel Rucker. My husband and I started a ministry work in Montclair, California over 25, it'll be 26 years ago, grassroots in our home. We have 3 children. I have 10 grandchildren. What else? And so a few godchildren. And so I'm a lover of life. I love people. I'm just a lover of life. So that's a little bit about me.
Well, the ministry, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more because it's not just behind the pulpit. It's actually grassroots on the ground working via V with government officials as well as the people that need the services. But girl, let's go back to that story. Okay. Brains, we always talk about domestic violence and we always make the man the culprit. But in this situation, Ethel's mother was a piece of work. And I say that with love, mama. I say that with love. But she was the aggressor.
Yeah.
She was the one that really, really did it to him. And it caused so much trauma.
Yeah.
And with Ethel seeing that as a child, she's figuring that this is the norm. You don't know nothing different.
Right.
Going back and forth. But then also the trauma that your husband experienced in his upbringing that, a woman needs to know her place. So this was, combative in the backdrop. But as soon as she saw him in church, she said, I know that's the one for me. But how do you work through all of that? Now you tell us, you fill in the blanks because I'm telling you, the book is so good.
I'm like, when you're saying it, I'm like, that sounds like a book I want to read. And that's actually my life. But like you said, April, my mother, actually, when I look back as I got older, she had her own trauma because her mother put her out at like 12 or 13 at a gunpoint. So she really wasn't nurtured and, poured into herself. So then when she got married and then she married my father, she never married. She had 5 children with him and he was abusive to her. So she actually perpetuated what was done to
Mm.
her when she got married to my stepdad. So it was a cycle. And like you said, it does impact you, how you see yourself, your self-esteem, how you love all of that. And it was very traumatic because I remember her when they would have their violent fights, she would pack our little bags and backpacks and stuff and walk us around the corner. And we would start getting used to it. And we say, when are we going home? Because we knew that eventually she's going to go back home. But this is her way of trying to get out of the situation with my dad. He eventually left, and thank God he did. But when she married my stepfather, because she had been so abused, she began to abuse him with her words. And not only him, myself, my other siblings as well. So it did impact us in a negative way.
She slit his throat.
Yeah, she did. She did.
Wow.
Yeah. And thank God he didn't die. And I remember the blood just gushing out and the ambulance
Mm.
coming and rushing him to the hospital. Yeah. And I remember being under my bed, as I wrote in the book, I remember coming home from church and stuff and being under the bed and putting my hands to my ears like this and saying, no, God, please, please don't let a bullet, because when the drinking would, they ensue and the arguing would escalate and then the gun would come out and she began to just shoot and didn't matter. So I would be under the bed like,
Wow.
no, don't let a bullet hit me. Don't let a bullet hit me.
And then she gave you your walking papers at 18.
She did, and over and spoke into my life all because what I learned is my dad would come over, even though he wasn't in love with her, he would still do for us when she would call him at the drop of a hat. He'd be there to come and fix my bike or whatever it was. And so jealousy set in her heart because she desired that love from him, and she saw him bestowing it on us, especially me being the oldest. And so from that time, she began to attack me and say, "You're ugly. You're never going to be anything. You're never going to amount to anything." And that was all for her from her own hurt and insecurities.
And see, brains, we talk about on this show a lot epigenetic trauma. Again, generational trauma. You can't do better if you don't know better.
Right.
And how are you going to end this cycle? Okay, so now you find Pastor Donald, the love of your life. And he walks in and you say, "Ooh, you're the one for me." But he said, "I don't know. I got to sift through the straw. I got to sift through the wheat to get to the straw." And so you said he brought other women to the church, and that made you feel less than. And then you reflected back on what your mother was saying, that you were not worthy, and one thing perpetuated into another. And then you came together and you got married.
Yeah.
Pick it up from there.
Yeah, but prior to that, let's back up a little bit from there, is that I knew that he was my husband because God had said, because what I did was when my a neighbor took me to church when I was like 12, I stayed in church pretty much all my life. And I wasn't just in the church, I actually began to get in God's word, learn to hear his voice. So I knew when he spoke, he said, "That's your husband." It wasn't because he was so fine, because he is fine as wine, had nothing to do with that. Heard everything I had learned, I tuned my ear to hear him and begin to obey him. And so when he spoke, he confirmed it. He just didn't speak. I tell people I had spiritual authority that I went to that confirmed that they prayed with me and they confirmed. I went on a fast and I said, "God, I don't want a divorce. I do not want a divorce. So I want to make sure that I'm following you and hearing you." And what he did was he showed me my ring finger glowing, again, confirming this is him. I still was like, "Okay, Lord, I'm still not sure. I want to make sure." And so then he gave me a scripture, Isaiah 61, 62. I forget now, it's been 42 years later, but in Isaiah, it said, "Because you have delighted in me, key, I'm giving you the desires of your heart." But
Mm,
the key was because you delighted in me, not in church, not in religion, not in that, in me. You learn me because I took God seriously, April. Where when Adam and Eve met in the cool of the day with him, I started doing that. So I would meet with a friend in the morning, we would pray, and in the evening I met God in my bathroom on my knees, talking to him, getting to know him, so I could hear him. So I knew that he was my husband, and God spoke to him too. And I never want people to think it was one-sided. Even though he was just new, fresh off the streets, came into church, he heard God said, "That's your wife."
Mm-hmm.
So it was a confirmation from the beginning. And that's what helped, kept us together through the trials and tribulations, because we knew God had said it was for us to be together.
Well, I'm telling you, it was quite a journey, and you laid down some principles. I want to start. There's so much I want to ask you, but I want to talk about fasting.
Mhm.
The starvation of your body is the awakening and the nourishing of your mind. Brains, let me tell you what it is to do a fast. And you bet me 3 days, I can do maybe 24 hours, but I'm so into it at that point. But when you fast and you extract substance, you know, food, you can't do anything but focus. And you get so busy. It's like when you're in the hospital, heaven
Mhm.
forbid, or you get sick. You don't want no food. All you want is the Lord. It's the same thing. This is a uh, this is a extraction of the things that no longer serve you at that particular point, and you're trying to ascend to the next level.
Mhm.
Tell people a little bit about your fasting experiences.
Oh, it was beautiful, especially when I was single. When I was single, I really did want to get to know the Lord, because he said, Our Father, according to Matthew 6 and 9. He says, Our Father. So I took him literally. Since I stated earlier that my father had left at 5, when I was 5, I had no father figure. My stepfather wasn't a really positive role model. He didn't speak into my life and encourage me and build me up. I took God literally. I said, You said you'd be my father. I'm going to give you opportunity to father me. And I
Mm.
began to pursue that. And he began to father me. So what people see today is because he told me how to take a 5x7 index card and put on there everything that he said about me. Not what my mother had labeled me as, but what he said about me. That was to become my reality. So I started as in my single life. He would say, I need you to come away with me for 3 days. I need you to come away with me for 5 days. I need you to come away with me for 7 days. Turn off the TV, don't go out with your girlfriends and do all what y'all do. I need you to come away. And Jesus did that. He always would get alone with the Father to get the downloads that he needed in order to come out of there and do what he needed to do. So it was a practice that I learned. I got up to 40 days being able to do just with water.
Wow.
God, but it was a training. He's such a loving father. Takes you little by little. Even if it start a few hours and then go to a day and 2 days, that's what he did for me. So that's why I was able to hear him clearly, because I had developed a discipline in my life to fast and pray. And my spiritual mother, which has gone on to be with the Lord, Mother Evans, she used to call us into the church back in the day. I don't know if they do that much more nowadays, but we used to have fast shut-ins. They called them shut-ins. So
Oh yeah.
you remember those? So I used to be a part of
Shut
those.
ins, girl, and everybody to get the Holy Ghost, the pastor be walking on your heels. Everybody be laid out in the floor. You be screaming and screeching and hollering. It don't be nothing but goodness. It don't be
Okay.
nothing but goodness that reigns and the spirit moves from one person to the next.
Yes. So
It
that's my journey. That's my journey. So I
well,
learned when I was a young woman before I even met my husband. That was a discipline that I learned.
yeah.
So
Well, I'm going to build up to it. But I get downloads and I get messages in meditation. You
that too.
know, God speak. He calls me baby,
Oh,
and it's brains. We can't tell you. You have to have a personal relationship. We can talk about it all day long. People are going to be the naysayers. They don't believe it. They don't this. They don't that. Whatever. Now
right.
I have a few disciplines. Not only do I walk by faith with Jesus Christ, but I'm very into quantum physics.
Uh-huh.
I'm very into energy and energy work.
Hmm.
Um, that's just how I move,
Uh-huh.
and it works for me.
Hmm.
And so, what I talk to people about, or when I have conversations with people, is that I'm seeing more and more people are not moving away from the religious texts and the doctrine, but they are incorporating other modalities into their life because folks are not even introducing their kids to God. My stepchildren right now, I don't even think they know how to spell it.
I know. It's true.
And they're walking away from it, but they don't understand that we are in Revelations. I thought I'd be dead and gone. I thought it'd be 3,000, 4,000. We are walking into right now. Right now, you see the wars, you see the famine, you see the lies, you see
Right.
the fake prophets, you see how he wears the mark on his head, you see all of that, and
Yeah.
they just don't want to believe it. Now, I'm finding that people find it's not about the truth, It's
Mm.
about the perception. It's about manipulating things,
Yes.
and we're going to get back to the book because there was a lot of things that you did also with regards to manipulating your circumstances. And you gave such key points. I've been through all of that, and one of the strong things was sexuality. Abstaining is one thing, but trying to hold back from somebody else, because let me tell you, Brains, if you won't do it, somebody else will.
Mhm.
And that's not a way to uh, discipline a relationship, not your partner. It's not good. Tell us some of the principles that you laid down in the book.
Oh, thank you for asking that question. The number one, which I find very, very challenging for the body, and I do believe the church taught it wrong. I just do, because that's submission. And submission was taught from a patriarchal, male-dominating, chauvinistic mindset.
Mm-hmm.
That never was God's heart. When you see in Genesis, he said, and the two shall become one, and I gave them dominion. See, that's the real heart of God, that man and woman are walked together and then develop that oneness principle, that they move in life as one. And my husband and I teach that because a lot of churches don't even teach it. It's always the man, and then you submit, you come under, and it's almost like a dogmatic kind of thing and a domineering kind of thing. But if he's truly submitted unto Jesus Christ as Lord, King, because that's who he is, came here and he says, seek ye first the kingdom. He never said religion. That's why I'm not a religious person. I'm in a relationship with the king and the CEO of the universe. That's the difference. My daddy, my appa. And so my husband and I realized, and I read a book by Bunny Wilson. I don't know if she's still alive now, but she taught about the art of submission. And in that book, she just used a simple analogy. When the light is red, you stop. When the light is yellow, it's caution. You got to move a little cautiously. And green, you go. Well, it's the same way in a relationship. There's a time to stop. There's a time to be cautious, and there's a time to green. It's a green light. You can go. So when I learned that and understood that, God said, "You're never to be. I never called you into this relationship to be a doormat. Your voice is needed. Your wisdom is needed. Your intellect is needed. Everything is needed, or else you would be irrelevant." So when he taught me that and gave me that revelation, I knew there was times when I needed to confront issues. I needed to be silent. I needed to know when to speak. I needed to know how to speak, engage him, and then always from a place of honor and respect, which I had to learn because I didn't know. Think about that. Just think about that. This is a little girl that didn't have any positive role models to know what it looked like to respect a man, submit to a man. But God, when He fathered me, He taught me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He taught me the
I know
importance.
because again, I've been married 41 years. And people say, how do you do it? I said, number one, I know when to hold and I know when to fold. What is really important, Now we had a situation where we had I had stepchildren. So you got the baby mama drama. But I
Mhm.
had to lay down the law that there's only one wife in this relationship. And I will be honored and I will be respected. But it was very hard on him because he had the children and he had to navigate that situation. I said,
Yeah.
something's gonna have to suffer.
We too had the same thing. My husband has we have two bonus children, and we first got married. The young lady had asked him to come bring diapers in the nighttime, and I said, "Oh no." I said, according to that, she knew all day long before 11 o'clock at night that she needed diapers. So there should have been a phone call made. But initially he didn't get it. He just wanted to go take the baby some diapers. So there was like this, just, we were going back and forth. And I
Oh
said,
yeah.
according to the word, I'm now your priority. And if we are in unity and we're on one accord, the babies will be blessed. So like you, we had to put
Yeah,
some guidelines, some policies and procedures on how we're going to engage those
exactly.
two. Mhm.
And then you got the outside influence of the family and the sister, and they want to borrow the money and they want to do the car. And all. No, 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 no.
Right.
Or they want their kids to come live with you. That's one thing we said from the giddy up. Ain't nobody coming to live with us. In the end, last 30 years, my mother lived with us, but she had her own space. Everybody got along. It was okay. But as far as doing all of that, no, because that echo chamber of negativity, folks, misery love company. They don't want to see you happy,
Right.
or they love you because they want to be you.
Yes, yes. I had the sisters initially, they would give me the mean eye, and I'm thinking, I didn't even know him before your sister. had a baby with him. So I'm just ignoring that foolishness because I wasn't in his life. And I would get that, like you said. So I would learn to just ignore a lot of foolishness with them. And eventually now we have a great relationship with both of our bonus children. My husband and I have a great relationship. But like you, we had to put procedures in place to
Mhm.
protect this, the sanctity of our home, our marriage, our union.
One of my best friends is my bonus son's mother.
See, see?
Okay, now you had to put on your big girl panties for that. Believe and trust, okay?
Yeah.
And I tell you, today's her birthday, absolutely, and I am gonna send her some flowers. That's my girl,
See?
no. But it is again, it's a learning, it's a discipline. Now,
Right.
my other stepson's mother, please, she want to run me over with a train, okay? But it is what it is,
It is
and
what it is.
I am not going to lower my standards and let somebody turn down my light. That's not, if that's the choice that he made, let him be with that choice. So now
Yeah.
let's talk about it from a male's perspective, from your
Uh-huh.
husband's perspective.
Uh-huh.
It was hard for him to adjust to because he grew up, according to the book, that a woman knew her place
Mm-hmm.
and that there were certain things that she had to do, that you got to cook, you got to clean, you got to, this is the routine.
Right.
How did he find himself settling in?
The
You
same thing.
seeing the change.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, and you seeing the change.
Yes, oh, definitely a transformed man. I'm so enamored with how he took his relationship with God seriously. And I'm grateful that he didn't grow up in the church because in the church I grew up in, I saw a lot. And the only reason why I'm still walking with God is because I did develop a relationship with him. He saw God in me. He told people, he said, my wife, and the Bible says that you can win them by without words, without getting in their face, without coming to church, nagging them by the way you live your life. And they will see your light. They will see your genuine relationship. Because I had a set time with God that I met every day and still do to this day. He saw that in action. But not only that, I wasn't on the phone gossiping about the pastors and everything that's going on in the church. He didn't see that from me because I learned God. I was learning God's principles, God's heart, God's way, how he thinks, how he moves. And I was doing everything that I can to live up to that, live up to those standards, as you said, according to those principles that I got from the Bible. So you're supposed to love each other. You're not, if you see a sister or brother in sin, you're supposed to cover them, pray for them, things like that. So all that backbiting and gossiping, I didn't engage in that stuff, and I still
Oh,
don't.
you mean to tell me that the choir director and she wasn't there trying to do that to the first lady, and the first lady is sitting there trying to pretend like everything's fine, and the pastor's there. Girl, now I have left the church, the traditional church. The church is in my heart. I still go. But
Mhm,
when I saw my pastor coming downstairs with his tie loosened at the Sheraton Hotel, and
mhm,
then about 15 minutes later, here come the choir director.
mhm. Yeah.
You know, and
Mhm.
I'm saying to myself, okay, back in the day in biblical times, men had harems. Does that mean that they cannot make a decision? Their sexuality is a part of the greatest gift that God gave us.
Yeah.
But I look at the level of integrity of a man.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
That's what I'm talking about. If you down with it and I'm down with it, then it's all right.
Hmm.
But if you lying and cheating and stealing and all this kind of stuff and having babies outside of the marriage, we've got some issues going on. Got some
Absolutely.
issues going on. And so
Absolutely.
when you talk and you minister to young women
Hmm.
that are in, let's start from the beginning.
Hmm.
They're considering marrying a young man. Tell me some of the things that you say to her.
Oh boy. First of all, I would tell them if they are a believer, if they are, make sure that they develop their relationship, their prayer life, because this book was birthed out of prayer. My time, as you said, meditation and prayer, because I believe in meditating too. In Joshua 1 and 8, it says, meditate in the word day and night. So then you'll make your way successful. Didn't say God would. He said you will as we meditate and get the principles. I believe God is a personal development God. He wants us
Right.
always to be growing and becoming better versions of ourselves. But I would tell them to learn to love themselves, love Him, because the only way you can love yourself as you learn to love him. And that's what, only two things he really said. Love the Lord thy God with all thy mind, with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy strength. And then, and only then, once you do that, because he downloads that love in our heart. And then from that love, you can love other people. But if you don't love yourself, and I find in our culture, when I look around in society, a lot of people do not love themselves. They don't even like themselves. They're trying to
Let me
be.
stop on this because they don't understand what love is. Love is not, to me, and I'll be totally honest, I say this all the time. I do not practice unconditional love. There's some conditions on my love. Yes, ma'am. I will love you from over there. I won't bother you, all that kind of stuff. But love is by design. Some people need certain things,
Yes.
so
Yes.
and so I get it, but if you don't know what that is for you, what makes you feel good, what lights you up, and
Right.
the only way that you can find that is if you're lost and you're seeking is to talk to God. What
Right.
is it that I'm missing? Why am
Right.
I replaying this negativity, the same old story over and over and over again? I'm talking to a therapist for the last 15 years about the same problem, and there's never no resolution. So
Right.
I get that. So okay,
Yes.
so now that this young person has found themselves and they're loving, they're in now they've gotten married. They're
Hmm.
into the first 3 years, which is, 3 to 5 years. Okay,
Right.
and she's at a struggle. She's in a struggle. What do you say to her now?
I would tell her the same thing because the key to prayer for me is it's not a monologue. It truly is a dialogue. And I found out that a lot of people don't have a strong prayer life, so they can't get the strategies and the download and the wisdom and the insight. It's not in this world system. It's just not. God created everything. So from him, he began to teach me those things. He taught me about my husband's psychological makeup, why he was doing the things he was doing. He taught me how to listen from the heart and not be judgmental and critical. He taught me that was all through my prayer time with him. And then he led me to books and it wasn't YouTube back then, but other, things that we can see, we can pull up. There's Gary Smalley that talked about relationships and things like that. Because I was seeking him and I wanted to know how to make this work, he began to give us the books, the insights, and bring people into our life that I can pull wisdom and insight from. I would say that they need to get someone that they can see that has a successful relationship and get mentors. Because a lot of times we think we know stuff. We don't know what we don't know. You need mentors. Find someone that is successful in what you want and then mentor them. I mean, be mentored by them, follow them. The Bible says, through faith and patience, from those who have obtained a promise, follow them. So follow their life. It could be someone that you know on TV or whatever, as long as they have a successful relationship
Right,
that you
right,
desire.
right, right.
That you desire. You see them mutually respecting one another, mutually submitting, compromise, all that comes into place. And then for sure, keep
You're
loving
not
yourself.
watching the Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Right, right, right.
You ain't
And
watching that for your life.
okay. And I think you need to always remember that self-care is important, that you take care of yourself, that you get rest, that you pursue still your dreams, your aspirations, and
Right,
everything. You
right.
guys have set things that God has given him, God has given you, and then he's giving you guys things together to work on
Now
and
there
work.
he is. Pull him over here. Come on
Come
over
on,
here,
she wants
Pastor
to see you.
Donald.
Be grateful.
How
Pull
you
down.
doing?
Gotta go down so she can
How
see
you
How
you.
you
doing?
doing?
I'm doing well in yourself.
I can't complain about nothing. I'm
You
here
do your
talking to
good
you.
anyway. Nobody want to hear it.
Well, but you would listen and you would be
No, no.
empathetic. Yes, you would.
I'll
Yes, you
probably put my hand or just stretch my hand and say, "Hang on in there."
well, thank you
No,
so
I'm being
much for
facetious.
laying for laying the foundation of a beautiful marriage of your wife. I enjoyed your book so much. I and really appreciated your vulnerability, the fact that you were able to come together as man and wife. Me and my husband have been together. I was sharing with your wife 41 years, and that ain't
Wow.
chumps.
Yes,
It's
praise the
not for
Lord.
chumps. And again, spilling that over into others and into the community. So I thank you and I give you your flowers today.
I thank you so much. I appreciate that,
One
woman
quick
of God.
question though, she asked the question about when you were transforming, what were going through your mind when you, for the first 3 years of our marriage?
In
How,
terms of,
in terms of, you asked the question,
In terms of when I read the book, I understood what your wife was going through, but what you brought to the table and your discipline and your understanding of what a wife should be and what she should do and all of these things. And then you got an aha moment. What was your revelation? What was your turning point as a man?
Yeah.
As a man, for me, the moment was pleasing God in this.
Mm.
That was the motivating factor for the steps and the disciplines I took. It wasn't about my wife, it was about pleasing him because he had asked, he said, "This is my wife." And so, in terms of pleasing him, then I took the necessary steps in learning how to love her, be submitted to her, to listen to her, be open to corrections from her, all because my motivating factor was pleasing God.
Absolutely.
And
Well,
I still practice that today.
and it's ongoing because
Yeah.
I told her we living in turbulent times,
Oh,
and
yes.
all we have is each other. We may
Yeah.
not be able to change the course, but we have strong leaders like you and Ethel to help us navigate.
Oh, thank you.
That's all we can do. We in a rocky boat right now. All we can do is try to weather the storm.
Amen. Yeah. And hold on to our faith.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. All
Okay.
right.
Thanks, babe.
So now,
That's my baby.
yeah. Okay. So now you got a woman that said, "I'm throwing in the towel. I am not going to deal with this joker." What do you say to her?
Oh, that she's thrown in the towel. I would say to her, if she's done all that she know to do. I heard Dr. Frederick Casey Price say this. If you've done all that you know to do, and there's like no changing, you don't see him wanting to do things better or get on the same page with you. And when you do leave, you decide to leave that relationship, know that you've given it your all. Don't say, oh, well, I did half or I did this. No, have you given it your all? Have you been the wife? And not the wife that you may think, but the wife that God wanted you to be in that relationship. There is a big difference. So I would ask her, has she given her all? Has she really put in everything? And if she feels free, then that's between her and God.
That's right. And have an exit plan.
Mhm.
And when I say an exit plan, have a strategy to be able to sustain and retain your life afterwards.
Right.
Leave with grace and dignity.
Yes.
Consciously uncouple. Keep God first. Don't
Yes.
use the children as a weapon.
Yes.
No,
That's
I'm one
good.
of those things. I'm one of those people. I don't want nobody don't want me. Believe and trust.
Right.
If if I'm not who you want, okay, there is somebody out there for me. And if nobody else can love me the way I need to be loved, I need to love me.
Exactly.
And
And I,
so many women still try to hold on. You look at domestic violence, you look at excessive alcohol or drug abuse, you look at extramarital affairs.
right.
Now, relationships are by design now.
Mhm.
Again, like marriage, some people will go for certain things, but
Right.
invite me into the conversation, bring
Yeah.
me into the room. If you
Mhm.
don't bring me into the confessional, I can never tell the truth.
You said the key thing, which I said from the beginning. That's why God had to teach me. That's why He told me to write the scriptures 5x7 index cards on who I was, because I had to learn to love myself. And when loving yourself, you're going to put those things in place to safeguard your heart. I remember in the initial onset when my husband and I first got married, God said to me, he said, you can't cast your pearls before swine. He was saying at that time, his mentality, he didn't appreciate what I would do because I was always trying to, like a giving person, go out to buy the cologne, all that stuff. He said, you're going to have to hold that back for a season. And
Mm,
he matures in a place where he can appreciate and
right.
value. That's why I said that prayer time with God is crucial in any relationship because He's going to give you the wisdom. He's going to give you the strategies, what you need to navigate through this. And like you said, He does not mean for you be in a domestic violence relationship. No, that is not His heart. So you have to get out of that. And whatever, He'll give you that. He'll give you that though. And people avoid Him. They go to everybody else. They go to their mamas and everybody else, but except Him. And He's the one who knows everything. So
Absolutely.
that's everybody talk to me. They say, you always say prayer. I mean it because that's what changed my life around. In my time with Him, He would talk and He would give me the insight. And He would say, I said, you guys
But
must.
see, the difference is, Ethel, is talking, hearing, and listening. Those are three different skills. God talks to us,
Mhm.
all the time. I was talking to my girlfriend right now. She's got a new little suitor that's going on. And I said, you know what? You got to put in the work. Don't make it easy for him. You are worthy. You are a queen. And so you need to be honored and you need to be put on the throne. And
Mhm.
that's not to say that when he needs to have whatever he needs to have, you're there for him. But make them work. You know, you can't do the deed without work.
And they
It's as
love
simple
it.
as that. And they
They,
do.
they love
Because
it.
again, and emasculate. That really happened in the 80s with the crack epidemic. Black woman said, you know what, you out here smoking and drinking and doing all this crazy stuff with this white powder. I don't need you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're not paying the bills, you're not doing what you want to do. I don't need you. And
Right.
that became the first phase of the Me Too movement. I don't
Mm.
want nobody that doesn't need me. I want somebody that wants me. I
Yes.
want somebody. The biggest thing that my husband and I do is say please and thank you.
Yes.
I will cook breakfast for him and then say thank you for cooking breakfast, baby. Thank you for taking out the trash. Very simple. You don't
Yes.
have to overthink it. It's
Right.
kindness, it's respect, it's understanding. Talking about kindness, respect, and understanding, tell us a little bit about the work that you do in the community for community members.
I will. And then also wanted to say what God had to teach me just that simple truth that you just shared. When he gets up and goes and does anything, put gas in your car, go to work, all that, he said, say thank you, just like you just said. So I learned, but I learned that from the Lord because there was no one, like I said, there to teach me that. But spending time with him, he said, tell him thank you. So he started saying to me, thank you, just like you're saying.
And
And
don't it make it just feel like you just like goose pimples? It's not super big.
no.
It's not like that Tiffany I love so much. But it's just the simple kind of and I look on my phone and he sends me these beautiful little captions and messages. And I talked to him yesterday and I said, baby, I said, I got the message that you sent me on my phone. He goes, yeah. He says, you know, I just want to let you know how I move and let you know what's in my head and how I'm feeling. And it was like, you know, he had his Mac on. I was like, go and talk to me, okay? Talk to
All right, talk to me, talk to me.
yeah, you ain't gotta do that. Just talk to me. And I was in
I,
the moment,
I
right?
get those little love songs popping
Yeah.
up, and then flowers because
Oh,
he'll
I
put
love
in those
flowers too.
just because flowers. I'll just be like, I'll think about it. I won't say it to him because I don't like to, I want flowers. I just think to the Lord. I said, gosh, he hasn't given me flowers in a while. Next thing I know, he coming
Next
through the
thing you
door
know.
with the flowers,
We
and
go
I
on a love date. We get up early in the morning. I said, where we going on love date? He said, oh, well, let's go to breakfast. And now that he's retired, girl, he washed the clothes. He mopped the floor. I was like, if I only knew you could have retired about 5, 6 years ago. But me, I'll get up, I'll go out there and I'll cut the grass.
see,
I'll take the trash cans out. It is a duality. It's not anybody's role or responsibility to do one particular thing,
yes,
you know, and
yes.
I just, I get it. I totally get it.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we teach in our workshops. Where In Rooted Love is what the ministry that got birthed out of. It's the same thing. If you're good at doing something, do it. It doesn't have to mean that the man has to do the finances because he's the man. But what if the lady, the wife, is the better one? Whoever's better at doing what? And then, like you said, together, doing things together. I take out trash too. I'll help him wash the car.
Yeah, you know, it's teach me. I can do drywall. I can lay tiles
See?
because you know what? We still have to have our independence.
Yes.
He
Yes.
can sew. I can't sew.
Okay.
He can. I mean, he can make draperies or all this kind. He can sew. He's a mean cook.
Wow.
He washes the clothes. And I'm like, this is wonderful.
Yeah.
My mother used to love it. She used to say, oh, your husband show is good. He can do this, he can do that. And I agree with her. I said, you ain't making me feel bad, honey. Yes, he can.
Yes, and we're blessed, and I consider it a blessing. The same thing, my husband too. That he said the only thing I will not do. What was it? He said cook because he don't like to cook, but he does everything else, clean, dry, everything. Just you said, making sure everything's taken care of. I said I'm so spoiled in a good way though, but I spoil him too. And we
Oh,
try to outlove each other. We say we're gonna try to outgive each other, outlove each other, and things like that. So it's
and
like,
that's the key, saying I love you.
yeah,
I say I love you 2, 3 times a day. And and he says, and I love you too. So I never will ever be in this life or the life beyond and wonder or question or hear his voice. I can always hear him say, I love you. And it's the Lord through us. We say our prayers together like two little kids every
oh,
now I lay me down to sleep, and
oh,
we bless each other, and and we laugh and we giggle, but we also share our trials, tribulations, and our pain. And the Lord has just been so good to us. So,
yes.
again, tell us a little bit about the work that you do in the community.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my husband and I, we are actually, let's see, we're community health workers now, which is tied into the hospitals. So we have contracts with several hospitals. And what we do is they will send us a list. Some of them will send us a list. Some we have to do events and stuff and let people know what we do. But we offer services, our food program that we feed over 160 something families now on a monthly basis and clothe them and provide hygiene products with them. We do that. But with the hospitals, when they send us their clients or their members, we give them a call and we ask them how we can service them. If we can connect them with mental health services or even our services, marital enrichment, financial literacy, parenting classes, food, clothing, things like that. And that's what we do. So we're well integrated within our community. I'm the executive pastor, so we're in a lot of meetings dealing with the board. We're on several boards, helping with leadership of clinics, new clinics that have started. We're also part of, we work with our city, with our homeless. I was thinking about this when we're going to have this meeting today, this Zoom call. I thought about when I was little, my kids were little, and I remember picking up this lady. She was blonde hair, blue eye, and I put her in my car. I took her home and I let her shower and I put her on my best dress because that's how Father God sees us. Like you said, we're his daughters, we're royalty, and we have to know that about ourselves. I saw her and I saw that she needed a bath and I wanted her to feel special. And I thank God for that. My kids called their dad and said, "Hey, what's mom has lost it. She brought this lady home." That was the beginning of the homeless ministry that God has birthed out of us. So we're very integrated within our helping our homeless community, moving them from their cars. And a lot of our seniors are becoming homeless now because they can't afford the high prices of rent. So now we're working on doing shared housing, we're in a program getting certified for that where we can actually do shared housing, where we can do it's called co-op living, where maybe they can move in with another senior and be able to afford some of the,
That's beautiful because now it's together just to survive.
Yeah.
So it's great. A little story that my husband, he had to check me, and he don't do it too often.
Mhm.
Said to me, why don't you go over there and sit down and quit asking for stuff? I said I want to go on a staycation. I had just come back from a vacation. I now want to go on a staycation. And I said, what? He said, you can go in there, you can get filet mignon, you can go in the back, you can get in the jacuzzi, you can get your nails done. He said, stop asking for stuff. Go over there and sit down. Well, my feelings was hurt. I went and got a massage. When I came out of getting the massage, there was a young girl that was on the sidewalk. Prettiest face I had ever seen, but her feet was cold black. Her hands, her eyes, she just was lost. Sleeping there, and it was hot. I went in my purse. Ethel, I think I gave her every dollar I had. I had a couple $100 in there.
Wow.
And she got up and she did the holy dance and she started speaking in tongues. And I was like, you okay? She said, now I can go take a bath. She said, now I can go see my baby.
Wow.
Now I don't have to sleep on this cement. I can get me a room for the night. And I tell you, what it did for me, I came home and I just sat there in the corner. And he goes, so you went and had a massage? What's wrong with you? I said, I have been disciplined. It wasn't by you, it was by the Lord, because I am grateful for everything I have. I didn't ask for nothing for a long time. For a long time. And continuously pay it forward. I see people on the streets. Guy was stealing some beers in the grocery store. Turn around, look right in my face. And I told him, we're not doing that.
Right.
Come on up here. I said, I will pay for it. If the beer is going to get you through, if you need it, there's alcohol addictions that people need it. If that's going to get you through, I said, but I'm not going to sit here and co-sign on you stealing.
Right.
The look on his face was of shame, and it was of shame that not that I caught you, but that I was in this situation.
Yeah.
I said, so here's my business card. If you need a shelter or anything like that, I said, you go ahead and give me a call.
Wow.
So we have to continuously seek out these opportunities to help people. Don't want them to come to you.
Absolutely.
You're not the grand poobah. You're not the upper echelon.
Right. You're right. And you said it earlier. We've learned earlier in our ministry that God wanted us to be in the community, not just in these four walls preaching to each other and flipping over the seats and enjoying the choir. He wanted us to touch humanity. So I tell him all the time, I said, God, when I said yes, I'm all over the place in all different genres and all different spheres of influence that he's placed us in because we're willing to be the church in motion and we're not just stuck. Our pulpit is wherever he leads us.
That's right. It doesn't have to be the building. So before we close, because Brains, I don't really have hour-long interviews, but I just couldn't. I'm telling you, that is 29 pages of power and punch. Put that book up again. Put it up again so they can see the bottom of it. Is that
Oh,
on Amazon?
no, it's not.
Oh,
They would have to come straight to our website,
you gotta go straight to how much you sell the book for?
W7.99.
That is the best. I'll say $9 because you got to pay for the postage.
Right.
The best gift that you could give anybody
Yeah.
over a bowl of Rice Krispies and a cup of tea. I'm telling you, I really enjoyed it, but it filled me up. Let's ask some fun questions about you.
Mm-hmm.
If you were an appliance in the kitchen, Pastor Ethel, what appliance would you be?
A blender.
A blender. Why would you be a blender?
Because I like mixing a lot of things together.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not boring.
I'd be the refrigerator.
Oh, really?
Because it's cool, it's chilled. You always got to come to me. You come to me at least once a day.
That's true.
Once a day. If it ain't right, I'll put you in the freezer. If you could time travel, go back to the past, stay here in the present, or project to the future, where would you land?
Oh boy. I probably would land back in the Bible days.
Mm.
Yeah, I would land back in the Bible days because I would want to really see Jesus and sit down and talk to him and break bread with him. So I would love to be in that period of time.
I always ask that question to people, and what is concerning to me
Mm-hmm.
is that you don't have very many people that want to be here in the present. This is all
Mm.
that we have.
Wow.
I don't particularly need to go back and rewrite history.
Right.
And I am a bit of a space cadet, so going to the future was definitely exciting for me. But
Mm-hmm.
just really trying to see how we're going to work through this, even though it's scary. What don't kill you only make you strong.
Mm-hmm.
To see how God is going to help me help my brains and find people like you to help us weather the storm. So maybe, we can work together and really start to enjoy the present. If you were a flower in the garden, since you love flowers, what flower would you be?
A rose.
A rose? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I like it. I'd be a tulip
Why? A tulip, why?
because there's so many different colors and varieties and they bloom. But then when they really get full of that sugar water I get them, they just go nuts. They just go wherever they want to go. And men love tulips.
Really?
So I go and get Mr. Magnificent over there to Trader Joe's. Shout out to Trader Joe.
Okay.
Yeah, I get him some tulips. He loves that. If you had the choice
Mm-hmm.
of another career,
Mm-hmm.
what would you do?
Oh boy. I would probably be an actress.
I see that.
Uh, I always say this book is going to be a movie because there's lot more I couldn't put into it. And Viola Davis would be the one that I would want to be.
Just put it out there
I
again.
have been.
You stage play, monologues, community theaters. There's a whole lot because Hollywood, you end up in north of me. It done burned down and they acting strange.
Mm-hmm.
But put it out there and create your own. Look at Tyler Perry, where he was and where he is today.
Right.
And in closing, what do you want your legacy to be?
Oh boy. I want my legacy to be that she lived a life, as my husband stated too, that was pleasing to God, that others would see him because my thing is I want to represent him righteously. I don't want to misrepresent him. I want people to be able to see that he's a loving and a kind and forgiving and a patient God. And so I want to live that way. Lead with love. That's my legacy because God did.
Hmm. Well, you know what? I think that you're doing that and then some. Thank you so much for being here on the edge with me and my brains. I have enjoyed this. I was looking forward to it, and, especially when I read the book. And I'm gonna have to get a couple copies of those because I'm an ordained officiant.
Mhm.
And so that is something that I will share with married couples that you need to read this and you need to really absorb it and go in your book, whatever it is, a Quran, the Bible, the Torah, and find where that parallel is and you relate to your God, the God of all understanding.
Yes.
great wisdom, the God of patience. Thank you so much, Pastor Ethel Rucker. You are the business with a capital B. Brains, go in, love, like, share, and subscribe. Okay? Love, like, share, and subscribe. Share this interview with friends. Replay it. We're going to replay it on all the major hotspots, Audible and on YouTube. There is the pastor that right there walking through. Don't let somebody walk through on your life. Stay there, be patient, try to figure it out. All right. Thank you so much, Pastor. I love you.
Thank you, April.
Bye, brains.
Oh.